Hi everyone, this is Dom and Jonas on the call,
Hey guys.
and today we're gonna talk about the token model announcement. First of all, we wanted to thank you for all these questions that we received, and we want you to know that we're very happy that the community is so excited, and there's this desire to learn how programmable internet really works and we're here to answer those questions and to give you a deeper understanding of that. But before we get into the questions, we would like to jump into the announcement first and explain the value chain model that we provided. Let me share my screen so all of us could see the value chain model, and which essentially shows how the value is being created on the user side and how it's being distributed between the company and the programmable internet network. The core element of this model is the programmable internet network. This is the ultimate beneficiary of all the value that's being created, and we as a company are our goal as a company, as a project, is to enable this programmable internet economy to work. Of all the research that we've done on the token models and the economy models, we saw that the key ingredient of every formula of creating a sustainable economy is a constant flow of usage. That's the key thing that you will find in every formula, because without the constant flow of usage, there's no constant flow of transactions, and without that, there is no ways to provide enough incentives for network participants to maintain the service. So when we understood this formula, actually, we started searching for the ways of providing this constant flow of usage, and that's why we created Noia platform. So Noia platform, uh, we believe that Noia platform addresses a very clear market need that exists today in the network services market. Uh, we as a company work with multiple enterprises, and we had experience to talking with dozens of industry professionals, and during all this time we wanted to find a way of generating this flow. So 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 the Noia platform was created for that, and we as a company right now, our sole purpose, in order to achieve this final goal, we believe, is to provide users to this platform. So right now, as you noticed, our initiatives with Oracle, with other partners, multiple partners that we work with, is to bring users to the platform and then eventually back create value back to the network. So the more users, the more users the platform will have, the more the more value there's going to be distributed back to the internet economy. So that's the constant usage flow that I was talking about, and this is the engine. This is the engine we want to create to generate this constant flow. So in order to illustrate it even better, we can do the split between we can do the split here between those two segments. because the first one represents this engine, the engine where, company generates revenue, invests its revenue to boost the user base, to basically to bring as many users as possible. So the sole goal of the company revenue is to distribute it back to the users, marketing, sales, everything, which creates more demand to the platform, and then it goes back to the internet. And so that's the engine. And the second part is how this value is being distributed among the network participants, in order to create a secure, autonomous, self-sustaining economy. So, Jonas, would you like to explain the second part in more detail?
Sure. So continuing on what Dom just mentioned, is there are a couple elements necessary to make this economy work, and that is the payment, the transactions, and the model. So starting with the payment, we wanted the user to have a frictionless, a smooth experience, as smooth as possible experience, so that they can pay in both USD and fiat money, and NOIA tokens as well, in a no friction way. And that the goal there is that all payments will generate token demand. And for that, we need a gateway. So the gateway can be done using public markets, depending on what exchanges we're currently being traded at. And there also might be a need for a liquidity pool to ensure those operations. And that can be done via a created liquidity pool by us, or a swap operators and liquidity providers, just like Kyber, Uniswap, and other systems. And then for any token economy to work, you need transactions, right? For a token to have value, there needs to be a lot of transactions. And programmable internet, as Dom mentioned, will be run by DARP. So DARP is our distributed autonomous routing protocol, and we are working on launching DARP soon for our community nodes, so they can connect to our Genesis nodes and start participating in the network with their latency information. And also there's some good news that potentially there will be not only VMs, but Docker containers and regular computers will be able to participate soon as well. So there will be several places where consensus is needed to ensure this autonomous economy, and that is for route selection and bandwidth reward mechanism, and the actual distributed ledger to save information. So any model requires a trust mechanism, and which is either from proof or and staking, or some other experimental methods. So we currently have white papers released which explains how a token economy for such system can be reached using masternodes and staking. It is a good model you can read about, but we have already made significant progress and new calculations to improve it. So as I mentioned, the last element is a model, and for any model to work, we need users to generate the platform, to generate usability into the network. And we're working on with our blockchain partners now to perform modeling and statistical calculations based on the real usage of the network we're getting. And before we can settle on the exact numbers of staking, the exact way master nodes will ensure consensus, we want the network to be running and have a first usage. So not to make the mistake of creating a model, setting the variables, and then not generating the usage into the network, and then having the economy not being sustainable or doesn't work at all. So once the model is confirmed by having real usage on the network, we'll be ready to open the network. And this way we will guarantee, by having a lot of modeling done, so that this economy is sustainable and provides enough incentives for both users to use the system and the node operators to perform service and grow the network.
Let's jump into the questions now. We consolidated most of the community questions into the key 6 questions. And I'll start from the beginning and we'll go through each and one of those questions. So, what happens to the tokens the company receives as payment? And which is more significant, a data transfer fee or a subscription fee? That's a very good question, and the answer is the data transfer fee is much more significant because it will be used to drive value to the economy and enable programmable internet. So eventually, programmable internet will be opened up to any other platform, corporate network, or a regular person to easily join and start using it. So data transfer fees will be the fuel to basically enable this economy. And the split between the data transfer fee and the subscription fee eventually might reach to around 80 to 20%. Or if we look into a longer term, it might even reach 90% to 10% or even more. So, although in the very beginning of this project, uh, when the programmable internet is in its very early stage, uh, our goal is to drive the users to the initial users to the network. So the subscription fee might be the split between the subscription fee and the data transfer fee might lean towards the subscription fee, and the subscription fees might be bigger in the beginning. But that's totally healthy in order to generate usage and revenue, and to bring the and to create this engine that I was describing previously. So what happens to the token? The tokens we receive the subscription payment will go to the company reserve. We do not intend to sell those tokens because we are also very motivated to reduce the velocity and reduce the supply. So every purchase of a new subscription via the token would mean tokens being taken out of the circulation and being put to the reserve. So that's we believe that this could be a good kicker to the economy. So we as a company, we will manage the reserve and maintain the right to manage the reserve to the best interest of all stakeholders and the company. So let's jump into another question. Is there an idea of how much discount paying with tokens can be obtained? 20, 50, 80, and if clients can slowly pay in tokens or USD. So we want to approach this subscription payment in tokens as similarly to the cloud credit programs. So if you look at AWS or Google or any other major cloud providers, all of them had their credit programs in order to boost the adoption of their cloud services by providing a discounted or even free service. So that proved to be very successful. And if you look at these cloud providers, all of them right now are grown into a incredibly large private economies. And so we want to use the same idea of providing discounts to boost the adoption, and then we can basically the token will mean initially the token will have the same value as the credit. It will be a true utility, so people will be able to easily start using it. So the discount is a dynamic thing, is not a thing that it will be constant. We as a company, we want to again manage this program to the best interests of all the stakeholders. So the discount might change depending on the market conditions in order to generate as much value as possible. So this is a mechanism again to boost this engine, not a constant thing of the network, but the thing to boost to kick off the economy. And yes, the customer will have ability to pay either in tokens or in the USD. And it's just as Jonas described, this is very important to create this a seamless user experience, which where the most projects fail. The third question is, what's your stance on the token burn? And do we have any plans to burn the tokens and burn the subscription fees? So I'll start from the second part. So we do not have any intention to burn the subscription fees, because again, this is about creating the engine. So the company needs to build up the reserve, so we can use these tokens to more credits, or we can basically or we can basically generate revenue. So we do not have any intention to burn it, although what concerns the data transfer fees and the transaction fees, that's an open discussion. We're evaluating and exploring all the possible token models that exist right now in the market, especially the ones that emerged from the DeFi. And there's very interesting stuff going on. So we do not rush to actually announce something before we evaluate and choose the best model, because again, the key is to generate the constant user flow, and then the second part is these details that concerns that. The fourth question is, how does the fiat to NOA payment gateway work? And will the tokens be acquired from the market? And can you use other current cryptocurrencies to pay it? Jonas, maybe you want to take this one?
Sure. So as I mentioned at the beginning, without going into too much detail, it will be done on public markets plus a liquidity pool if there's a need, and some decentralized liquidity and exchange operators. So for example, when a transaction is done in fiat USD payment, and some parts of that needs to be converted into the token and passed on to the programmable internet to operate, it needs to be a seamless experience. So that payment will be converted either using public markets and the exchanges automatically, and with the exchanges we are at that moment operating in. Plus, we can use the help of the platforms like Uniswap, Kyber, and our own liquidity pool to help facilitate that transaction. Likewise, if someone wants to pay with different cryptocurrency, if those operators and there's gateways which can help us to swap and have seamless experience to transact, there's relatively easy ways to do that. And once the payment gets into the company, the part which is required to be paid by tokens is automatically converted and passed without any hurdles.
The fifth question, how do you plan to address slowing down token velocity, and will you have master nodes or staking? Jonas, maybe this one again.
Sure. So again, as Dom explained, our main priority is getting customers and first usage into the network, right? So once the initial network demand is established, there will be a masternode and staking based consensus for both the routing mechanism and information stored on the ledger, which will also perform, the payment, the authentication into the system autonomously in a distributed way. So the model to operate masternodes and staking mechanism will be set according to the variables of a network usage and modeled to slow down the velocity enough to sustain the economy and token-based incentives to keep the network growing, operational in a distributed way. So as I mentioned before, you can read about the first version of our model in the white paper, but the actual values are yet to be decided, and there will be significant statistical modeling and calculations done before we set those variables and open the network. And we want to have real network usage before that, so that this modeling is done accurately and guarantees that once we kick off the constant use of the network, there will be enough incentive for both the masternodes, the token holders, and the network runners to perform the service.
And the last question is probably summarizing the whole discussion. Can you talk more about how this token model will bring value to the Noya token? So let's go back to the announcement and repeat the cycle again. So the company, by generating revenue, by doing marketing, doing sales, our purpose right now is to generate the users, and then the users will generate a constant flow of value that will be going through the data transfer payments back to the programmable internet economy. So that's the engine we were talking about. And this is the key element in all formulas that you will find about the token economy models. The transaction volume is the key. And that's why this mechanism that we presented, the business strategy that we have, is a very tightly linked to the value that we're creating to this overall token economy. So we believe that we chose the right path, because we've seen a lot of projects focusing more first on this second part, on getting clear all these details out about how the actual value distribution will work. But we've seen many projects with networks running but no usage at all. So we took a different path, where we first wanted to create the engine of this usage, and then the second part will definitely come together with a much stronger foundation. So thank you very much, guys. I hope that was informative and interesting. So if you have more questions, we're happy to review them. And once in a while, after every announcement, we'll try to host these type of sessions to provide you a much detailed view into what we want to explain. So thank you very much again, and see you soon. Bye bye, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.